The day I decided to steal a dog was the same day my best friend Luann Godfrey found out I lived in a car. I had told Mama she would find out sooner or later, seeing as how she's so nosy and all, but Mama had rolled her eyes and said, "Just get on up there to the bus stop, Georgina, and quit your whining." So that's what I did. I stood up there at the bus stop pretending like I still lived in apartment 3B. I pretended like I didn't have mustard on my shirt from the day before. I pretended like I hadn't washed my hair in the bathroom of the Texaco gas station that very morning. And I pretended like my daddy hadn't just waltzed off and left us with nothing but 3 rolls of quarters and a mayonnaise jar full of wadded up dollar bills. I guess I'm pretty good at pretending. My brother Toby, however, is not so good at pretending. When Mama told him to get on up to the bus stop and quit his whining, he cried and carried on like a baby that he was. "What's wrong with Toby?" Luann asked when we were standing at the bus stop. "He has an earache," I said, trying as hard as anything to look like my life was just as normal as I could be, instead of all crazy like it really was. When I saw Luann's eyes narrow and her lips squeezed together, I knew her noisiness was about to irritate me. "Sure enough," she said. "Then how come your mamma is making him go to school?" She kept looking at me with that squinty-eyed look of hers, but I didn't let on that I was irritated. I just shrugged and hoped she would hush up about Toby. She did, but then she went and turned her nosy self loose on me. "No offense," Georgina said, "but you are starting to look kind of unkempt." Unkempt? That was her mamma talking, if I'd ever heard it. Luann would never have said that word, unkempt, if she hadn't heard her mamma say it first. And what was I supposed to say to that, anyways? Was I supposed to say, "Well, for your information, Luann Godfrey, it's kind of hard to keep your clothes looking nice when you've been sleeping in the back seat of a Chevrolet for a week"? Or maybe I was supposed to say, "I know it, Luann, but my hairbrush got tossed out in that pile of stuff Mr. Dieter left on the sidewalk when he kicked us out of our apartment." And then Luann would say, "Why'd Mr. Dieter do that?" And I would say, "'Cause 3 rolls of quarters and a mayonnaise jar full of wadded up dollar bills doesn't pay the rent." But I didn't say anything. I acted like I hadn't heard that word unkempt. I just climbed on the bus and sat in the 6th seat on the left side with Luann, like I always did. I knew Luann wouldn't give up, though. I knew she'd kept on till she found out the truth. "What if she wants to come over?" I said to Mama. "Or what if she looks in the window or something and finds we don't live there anymore?" But Mama just flapped her hands at me and closed her eyes to let me know how tired she was from working 2 jobs. So every day I imagined Luann peeking in the kitchen window of apartment 3B. When she did, of course, she wouldn't see me and Toby and Mama and Daddy eating our dinner and being happy. She'd see some other family, some happy family that wasn't all broken up like mine. And then, one day, when we got off the school bus, Luann went and did the nosiest thing I could imagine. She followed me. I was trying to catch up with Toby because he had grabbed the car key and run on ahead of me, so I didn't even notice her sneaking along behind me. She followed me all the way past apartment 3B, across the street, and clear on around the back of Ecker Drug Store, where our car was parked with laundry hanging out the windows, and Toby sitting on a milk crate, waiting for me. If there was ever a time when I wished the earth would open up and swallow me whole, it was when I turned around and saw Luann looking at me and Toby in that car and all. I could see her thoughts just plain as day right there on her face. I wanted to wave my hand and make that dented up car disappear off the face of the earth. But more than anything, I wanted my daddy to come home and change everything back to the way it was before. I set a smile on my face and said, "It's just temporary, like Mama had said to me about 100 times." Luann turned red and said, "Oh, when Mama gets paid, we're moving into our new apartment," I said. "Oh." And then we both just stood there looking at our feet. I could feel the distance between us grow and grow until it seemed like Luann Godfrey, who had been my friend forever, was standing clear on the other side of the universe. Finally, she said, "I better go." But she didn't. She just stood there, and I squeezed my eyes shut and told myself not to look pitiful. And for heaven's sake, don't cry. And then, of course, Toby had to go and make everything worse by saying, "Mama left a note that she's working late, so we're supposed to eat that macaroni that's in the cooler." Luann arched her eyebrows up and then said, "I haven't seen your daddy in a long time." That did it. I couldn't stop the tears from spilling out of my eyes. I sat down right there in the drugstore parking lot and told Luann everything. I felt her arm around me and I heard her saying something, but I was too lost in my misery to do anything but cry. When I was all cried out, I stood up and brushed the dirt off the seat of my pants, pushed the hair out of my eyes, and said, "Promise you won't tell." Luann nodded. "I promise." "I mean, not even your mama." Luann's eyes flickered for just a second, but then she said, "Okay." I crooked my pinky finger in the air and waited for her to give me the pinky promise, but she hesitated. I stamped my foot and jabbed my pinky at her. Finally, she crooked her pinky around mine and we shook. "I better go," she said. I watched her hurry across the parking lot, then glanced back at me before disappearing around the corner of the drugstore. "I hate that macaroni," Toby said from his seat on the milk crate. It was just like him to not even give me one little minute to wallow in my misery. I stomped around in the back of the car and kicked the cooler, sending it toppling over on its side. Ice and water and plastic containers spilled out onto the parking lot. "Me too," I said. Then I climbed in the back seat of the car and waited for Mama to come back. It was way past dark when I heard Mama's shoes click-clacking on the asphalt. As she made her way toward the car, I sat up and looked out the window. Even in the dim glow of the streetlights, I could see her tired, sad look. Part of me wanted to stay put and just go back to sleep and leave her be. But another part of me wanted to get out and have my say, which is what I did. Mama jumped when I opened the car door. "What in the world are you doing awake, Georgina?" she said. "I hate this," I said. "I don't want to do this any more."